Jai Hind, this is Apurv Mishra, All India rank 23rd in the recently concluded UPSC CAPF AC exams 2019. So in this video, we'll be discussing about the detailed strategy of interview, how to face the different type of questions, and in brief about the pre-interview process and how to prepare for maneuvering the interview questions. So the pre-interview process is basically starts with PET and MST along with the DAF. So PET and MST, as we all know, is a qualifying stage. Consists of 4 events. The PET consists of 4 events: the 100 meter running in 16 seconds, 800 meter running in 3 minutes 45 seconds, 3.5 meter long jump, and 4.5 meter shot put throw. Make sure that you are well versed about a month before the exam, the PET, so that you are in practice and don't face any sudden shocks on the PET day. Medical is fair bit an easy thing, just the weight issue can be sometimes challenging, so don't worry about it. I myself used to fight in heavyweight category in boxing, so my weight, I had to reduce my weight from for about 12 kgs in less than 40-45 days period. So that is easy, just by following a sattvic diet as well as some regular cardio exercises, you can do it. So that's PET and MST can be handleable with a little bit of awareness and a little bit of practice. So now we'll be focusing on the most important part in the pre-interview phase, that is the detailed application form, the DAF. Make sure that you do some research before filling the DAF, because it is through the DAF that you can steer your questions which will be asked in your interview, and you'll be preparing with the main document as the DAF for the interview. So the main things which you have to keep in mind while filling the DAF is the force preference and your reasons behind them. So do a bit of research and then fill it. Now once you're done with the DAF, the achievements and hobbies, of course, the ones which you want to show, the ones on which you want the questions to be asked. So make sure you put them there. And yeah, so now once you are done with the DAF, now how to prepare for the interview. So make sure that you have a thorough research on everything which you have written in the DAF. Right from the date of birth, the date, month, as well as the year. So, and combined, like I was born in 1994, so I made sure that I visit the Wikipedia page of 1994, September 1994, and September in general, and the date of my birth, that you just have to check on Wikipedia or any other site that is it coinciding with any other international event. So this I got to know in one of my mock interviews, that my birth date was same as the International Literacy Day. So I went to the website of International Literacy Day to find which organization did that, which organization ensured that it is celebrated as International Literacy Day, when it was done and why it was done. So basic reasons and rationale should be clear to you. Make a short note of this. Now starting from DOB to hometown, so go on the Wikipedia page of your hometown, know about it. Like mine was Gorakhpur, so I had googled of all the important celebrities and important famous personalities from Gorakhpur, and knowing about their brief history, brief background. So Gorakhpur is known, has been named after Guru Gorakhnath. So I made sure that I make a full note of his life. So it was coinciding with my the events of my life too, like he went to south near Mangalore and established a sibling. So I had jotted down those points to make sure that if I'm asked to note out any point out any similarity, so I have something in the store to present to the interviewers instead of being blank. So the research should be proper on every aspect. Now the most important aspect which can be asked is your force preference. So have thorough idea and rationale of why you have kept some force at the top and some at the last preference. So for example, mine was SSB as the first preference. I chose this because I had certain reasons. Like I always wanted to go into the intelligence sector, and SSB has been providing the armed support to various operations of research and analysis wing and IB across the border of Nepal. So you might have heard about the snatching operations like that of Yaqub Menon, in which the SSB played a crucial role. So that was my first reason. Second reason was because the porous border with Nepal and Bhutan, especially Nepal being a gullible state because of China's interference, I thought that this is a hot playground for various intelligence agencies like RAW, ISI and the Chinese. So that is why I wanted to be in the theatre and see everything and get the first-hand experience of what is happening there on the ground. Also, I added the professional reason that the force, this is a rapidly expanding force, so the chances and avenues of promotions as well as deputations increase as compared to other forces. So this gave me a professional advantage. Now I also added a humane angle to it, that I have been playing, I have played in the playgrounds of SSB during my childhood days in the school competitions. So that gave a personal touch to this answer. So these were the 4 reasons why I put SSB on the top. So now I'll be telling you about why I chose CISF as my last preference, just to get you to give you a fair idea about how to present your points. Despite being when I was asked why CISF is your last preference, so I said despite being my last being there at the last position, it is still in my preference list. So irrespective of whichever force I get, I respect all the forces equally, and there's nothing bigger a dream than to wear the uniform of any of the India's armed forces on my body and wearing those 3 stars on my shoulder. So this was my answer. So just notice how I played my part, that I defended my decision and I did not belittle any force. So keeping the respect intact, I justified my decision of placing SSB at the top and CSF at the last. So this is how you have to prepare your defenses to ensure that whatever points you present are respectable enough and are taken in good faith. So this is how you can justify the force preferences. Apart from this, the achievements and hobbies column. So I had, for a person like me having diversified skills, I had the option to choose to which are the hobbies which I would like to be asked upon. So like I mentioned in achievements part, I mentioned MTech, GATE scholarship, etc. because I was technically sound in it. So in the hobbies part, I just mentioned that I am a silver medalist in karate and a few medals in boxing, but I did not elaborate on other sports which I played. Instead of that, I tried to mention the languages which I know. So instead of making the sports part bulkier by mentioning more achievements about sports, I just mentioned the karate national and as well as boxing, and now I focused on more of the on the language aspect, because that would be indirectly beneficial to my future profession, which would be as an assistant commandant, to get the grasp of the local culture and language. So I mentioned regional languages of India like Kannada, Punjabi and German language, because I wanted to invite questions on them. I also mentioned singing and mimicry because I have a fair bit of command over both of them. And now looking at the preparation aspect, I prepared from 1950s to 2020 almost 4 singers from each decade, and having a regional diversity in the singers which I had prepared to mimic and sing the songs from. And even in the mimicry part, I had prepared for both political as well as apolitical, Bollywood as well as other dimensions. So to ensure that in case whatever the demand of the panel is, you should be able to cater to that. If you have written something and if you are unable to justify it, irrespective of what challenges are thrown, then it brings a negative aspect on your on a whole interview. So try to put in those points in the DAF on which you are totally confident, and try to justify that with full might. Now coming on the interview part, how do you prepare your mindset when you go into the interview? See, one of the major aspect is to prepare yourself in a very apolitical way. You have to go in with no biases at all. Yes, the biases will come, but try to work on them with some mock interviews. There are not many good mock interview guidance program online. So what I did was I went for just 2 mock interviews, which helped me a bit, but I focused majorly on my peer interviews. And my brother and my mother took my interviews almost every alternate day, and just with this I got a practice of how to maneuver my points in such a way that it should not be insulting or politically biased to any particular dimension. So like for example, I was asked a question in the UPSC interview about Ayurveda versus allopathy, what would you prefer? So now you have to carefully chalk out your answers so that you don't disrespect any of the discipline, as well as have a concrete opinion which is understandable for all the sides. So what I did was I made sure that I play with a current affair to start with, that WHO had just announced to open a global center on traditional medicine in India. So I linked that with Ayurveda and told that the future prospect is really good of Ayurveda, and the Ministry of Ayush is doing some good work and bringing out new schemes. So I mentioned a couple of them. And apart from this, I made a clear choice that current scenario would would suggest anyone to go for the allopathic ward, but 10 years or 20 years down the line, I think they will be having some parity in the term of status of both the disciplines. So this way I managed both the sides properly and did not intend to hurt any of the perspectives which can be contrasting. Similarly, there was another question like with respect to my discipline, that is information technology and security. So I was asked the recitation of Mahabharat's on-field situations by Sanjay to Dhritarashtra, can it be linked to IT? Give a practical life example here. Like I mentioned that, sir, of course, when I said of course, I had to justify it now. So of course, sir, it can be linked to IT because even today, more than 90% of the audience which watches a cricket match prefer it to watch it online or over your computer, over your TV sets. So similarly, Dhritarashtra, being a king, ideally should have been there at the ground position, but he utilized the powers of Sanjay to his best of his advantage and ensured that he gets a clear view, just like the audience in today's world get a clear view of the matches sitting there at home. So this is how I managed a tricky question with a practical experience, a practical example, and ensured that any of the biases can be handled in such a way that it should not be exposed. So this is how you can handle the bias wala part. Now coming on the second part, which is the SRTs, how to handle the situation reaction test. So I was thrown in a couple of SRTs, like you are just about to go for a war and the majority of your battalion, as an assistant commander, the majority of your company is having new recruits which are going to their first war, and it is a very bloody war. So how do you motivate them? So now here what I used, I had made a list of quotes. I had already studied Gita and a couple of Upanishads. So I had made a quote out of, I had put a note of quotes out of them. So immediately when I got an opportunity, I prompted with a quote from the Gita, that was Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srujamyam. So I would, I answered in a way that I would expect all my young teammates to adhere to this quote from the Gita and understand that jab jab paap badha dharti par, whenever the evil rises, somebody has to take the avatar and ensure that the evil has to be decisively defeated. And I believe it's my youngest teammates in the company which will take that avatar, and we together as a team will take the avatar and finally finish the enemy decisively throughout this war. So this is how I used a quote and made a clear sense of the SRT, and looking at their faces, they were looking pretty much convinced. Secondly, there was one SRT in which it was said that suppose you have won this war and you have to give a speech as an assistant commandant there in front of the same very people whom you have defeated, and and you have the national media as well as the Prime Minister sitting there. So what would you say there? So I said, first of all, I'll start with a salutation and I'll greet all the dignitaries, including the Prime Minister. Secondly, I would dedicate the victory to the nation, to the people of nation, because it's for them why we are wearing the uniform and fighting on the all the wars. And following this, I would make sure that the gist of my speech would ensure that I want to convey the message that my team, I want my men and my team and my uniform not to be remembered as bloody conquerors. Rather, I would want my team and my men and my uniform to be associated with peace, brotherhood, and remembered as guardian-like protectors. So this is how I summed up a scenario in which there is a debate that about policing and giving human rights. So I ensured that I make a balance out of it and put it in this answer and give a clear message to the panel about the using this SRT. So this is how you can use it to maneuver it, the interview in your favor. So coming on the third part, that was how to handle static topics or topics which are in news and your views regarding those topics. So like for example, I was asked about Special Marriage Act. So I tried to play around the current affairs but did not indulge into deep discourses like love jihad and others. I did mention a part of it when I was prompted, but I remain content with the definition of Special Marriage Act, the problems of honor killing, the problems of families not getting onto terms with it despite it being an old law. So I focused on that and I did not go deeper into the political aspect of it. Similarly, I was also asked about a question on EIA, that EIA in itself is a bad act, or what are the problems with respect to EIA and what do you think about it. So I said, sir, my own father is a civil engineer and he is usually very critical about EIA and how the project gets stalled due to EIA. But I would say that EIA per se is not a problem for development. The problem lies in the way which we have implemented EIA. So environmental impact assessment needs to be understood in real senses and implemented in a way it is more beneficial to the society. And majorly the development process are affected by deliberate actions, agitations, and somewhere the local politics plays a part in stalling development projects. It is not just the EIA which is the initiator of these kind of disruptions. Rather, EIA becomes a tool to play with when you have to cause a disruption. So I said that we have to be more mature as a society to understand EIA and importance of it in terms of the future of our further generations to get a peaceful and wholesome environment, rather than just going mad about development, and on the similar ways not using environment as a negative tool to somehow stall the development work. So I gave a balanced perspective. Like in the same way, I was asked about India's geopolitical position and given an option, which country would I like to choose to settle. So I looked into his eyes, the interviewer, and I said that east or west, India is the best, and not just because it is my motherland. Rather, I would say 50% of it is yes, the motherland advantage. Rest 50% depends on sound economic calculations, geopolitical realities, and strategic prospects. So I explained how we are the third biggest economy in PPP terms, fifth biggest in MER terms, and how the prospects of the future are showing that India's power is only going to grow in the near-term future. And geopolitically, if we see last 20 years, the performance of India has just risen on the world stage. Now our opinion is being considered in almost every matter of the global attention. So India has shown a dramatic rise in the last 20 years, and considering the economical growth and the way we are structuring our polity as well as the armed forces, in UN peacekeeping forces mission as well as other aspects, we are trying to play a more active role on the world stage. And looking at all these aspects, I personally feel that India is going to rise, and this is our decade. The next 2 decades are going to be very crucial. These decades are going to be our decades. So our generation has to stand up to the challenge and ensure that we own our challenges and rise and ensure that India's rise to the next biggest superpower is accelerated on throughout the next 2 decades. So that is how I channeled all the points and ensured that a wholesome answer is presented to the interviewers. So make sure that the analysis is thorough and as unbiased as possible. So this is how you can turn around the questions which may seem otherwise tough, but you can maneuver it in such a way that they work out in your favor. So this is how you can maximize your answers in the interview. Majority of the point goes to being honest throughout the interview and be true to yourself. Whatever you have done, try to prove it with evidence. If you have done it, you will have evidence and you will be able to justify it. Similarly, be honest throughout the interview. UPSC can guess a person's true intent within a couple of minutes. If you are going to fake it, they will realize it and very soon, and ensure that you get penalized for it. So even if you don't know an answer, be prompt enough and accept that I don't know it, sorry. Otherwise, try to be as honest as possible and be clear with what message you want to give to the interviewers, and be true to yourself. Yeah, so that can help you in getting decent marks out of the interview. Lastly, I would tell you that getting a call from UPSC for the interview and going through that process is a dream come true for any aspirant, and it is a day, if you ever make it, it will be a day which you will never be able to forget it, and it will be a day to remember for sure. So lastly, I would like to thank the team of Delhi Knowledge Track for providing me an opportunity to put my strategies in front of you all regarding the UPSC CAPF process as well as the strategy for the interview. I would like to end it by telling you that the day you get a call for the interview in UPSC building from UPSC, it's a dream come true for any aspirant in the civil services and CAPF journey. So do cherish it and try to put your best foot forward. This is an opportunity which very few get to experience. It's a dream-like opportunity, and that day will be an unforgettable day of your life. So try to make the most out of it by putting the best of your hard work and best of analysis to support your interview. And yeah, hopefully you do well and make it to the final list. All the best, and Jai Hind.